Hey YouTuber, today I'm going to go over the techniques that I use to paint this. We're going to go over what you need to understand to create the translucent effect on these wings here, how we get these fur textures, what we need to understand about light and color to get that contrast and pop. You know what? I think I'm going to have a giveaway. I'm going to have more details later in the video about this, and I'll tell you guys how you can participate in that, but I'm going to give away this painting, and that's open to anyone in the entire world. And I'll have more details followed. But for now, let's get to this tutorial. As always, we have to use a sketch or a drawing, and then I'm going to use some desaturated purple, two different desaturated greens to get that blurry and out of focus background. We've done that before, and just showing you how you can using shields and stuff to get crisp lines when you need to, and then we're going to move into what the wing structure is like. All right, the easiest way I can explain how those wings lay out is by using a piece of plastic wrap. As you notice, when you put that plastic wrap over, it's going to distort the things that are behind it, alter the coloring just a little bit, but more importantly, you see all the little reflections of light that come off the saran wrap, and that is almost exactly what happens with insect wings. So showing you a little bit in real time, I mixed up a green that I will be able to continue to layer. It's important to know I'm using transparent colors, so I'm able to layer my colors. I start out with that really desaturated and muddy looking green, and then I'm going to use my pencil eraser and bring back highlights in here, and I'm going to continue to work that down. Later I will bring in those violet tones. I mixed up yellow and brown and started to lay in some base texture layers, and I continue to lay out some base until it looks something like that. It's important to note that I'm using transparent paints, so I'm able to layer them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a lot of layers in. It's going to be something like a drag queen getting ready for a Cher lookalike convention. I'm going to start scratching in some of those very fine hairs, and going to do that with the X-Acto knife, obviously. I'm doing this in real time because I want you to see exactly what I'm doing, but I'm cutting through so that you don't have to watch me scratch out this whole thing and get very, very bored very, very fast. So this is real time, and it really moves that fast. And then obviously you see how I'm using the Blackbeard wheat on the edge, and then I'm going to go over that with a little bit of freehand work and blur that edge. I want it to be just a little bit of blur, but I also want that color to come over my background very sharp and focused, and that is why I use the Blackbeard wheat there. This next part, you're going to see me lift up a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to spray on that cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to spray on the cardstock, and we're going to ricochet that paint off of the cardstock onto the edge, and you can get some really, really crisp and fine details that way. Just make sure that your ricochet doesn't blow up and kill somebody with some friendly fire. All right, so we're gonna ricochet that paint off there and catch that edge. You'll see how that just creates a really soft and nice gradient right off that edge, so that you have no hard line there, and yet you still feel that edge just a little bit. Then I'm going to come back and start laying in some more background shapes, and you'll see me working on the eye there. I used a shield there, and then I'm using a fiberglass scratch pen, which fiberglass eraser, to cut out some little bitty details on that eye. And then you're going to see me add more and more darks. Remember, I was talking about working transparently. This color that I have mixed up is actually a really, really, really dark brown. It's not black. It just looks that way on the paper. And you can also notice how that first color I put in, how much lighter it looks than before. And that goes back to simultaneous contrast. If you've been watching my color theory video, you know we're going to be getting into simultaneous contrast later this week. Yeah, got to be a lot of scratching going on in here. Not that kind of scratching. All right, so I sped this up a little bit, but anyway, as you can see, I'm taking my fiberglass eraser and I'm scratching in some more layers. As you knew, I was working with the X-Acto blade earlier, and then of course I'm going to come in. I'm still, while I got the dark mix in there, I'm going to go through everywhere that I think I'm going to need it at the moment and get it in there. And use my shield, of course, in these spots around, where I need them crisp lines. And I'm going to add it in there. Pay attention to that little centerpiece where I got there. See that little piece to the left of the eye? Notice that. And the reason that I'm laying that dark in there as well as that light brown is we're going to be bringing some hair over the top of that. And I need that to look like it's kind of a bump in the background, and then it's going to show through. So in order for that to show through, I need to build it in the back, and then I can bring my textures over the top of it. So as you see, I'm working a little bit of freehand here on some of the legs. Remember, if you need a shield, use a shield. Sometimes it's nice to have that little slightly out of focus edge, but if you can't get a crisp enough line, that's worse than having a line that's too crisp. So please use a shield if you have to. If you can freehand it, great. But I don't like to use a whole lot of shields, but I will when I need to, and I suggest that you do the same. I will use one if it's going to hurt my art. Finally, we're going to be able to get some of these bold colors in here. All right, it's going to look very light, but what I have done is I've mixed a yellow with a tiny bit of violet to desaturate it a little bit. And we're going to continue to work forward by adding more violet to that yellow to make it darker. All right, back to the scratchy. I know that's getting repetitious, but that is the way you build layers on things like that. So I'm going to notice how I'm working my color in here underneath. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scratch out into the background. When you're working on a dark background like that, your highlights from your hair are going to be lighter than the background, and it's much easier to scratch them out into the background than it is to try to cover that background over all of those individual hairs. It would be just almost a nightmare trying to do it the opposite way. Once again, we're working transparently, so you'll notice as I'm coming in here, as I cross over that really ultra dark brown, all I'm really doing is kind of tinting the color a little bit. I'm not covering it over, so it's just going to make it that much darker as I go over it, and it's going to give it just a little bit of vibrancy. It'll shift the tone just a tiny hair, but it's kind of like if you lay candy colors over something. But I'm working really, really reduced at this size to be able to do that, so you don't notice that yellow tint going over there. Plus, it's already a brown tone anyway, and this is probably the best picture you can tell by how much of a brown tone that actually is and not really a black. Back to what I said about your light hairs showing up against that dark background. I'm going to utilize that right here. So pay attention. Don't let your eyes glaze over just yet. I'm going to utilize it right here for that round spot I was talking about, and how that will make the rounded front portion look like it's more forward than the back portion because I have them darks behind it. All right, here we go. So we're gonna bring in that color. Oh, I also should mention that I felt like I wasn't getting the vibrancy I wanted, and once again, because we're working transparent, I was able to go with a lighter yellow and come over the top and work with a lighter yellow, and it won't hurt anything I did before because the colors I'm working with, those tones, all match up. We're using the yellows and the transparents, so it gave me a little of my vibrancy back that I thought I was starting to lose. And of course, I'm continuing to scratching, and yes, I know that gets very, very repetitious, but you'll see how I bring my scratches over the top of my dark spots. See how I'm pulling that highlight out of that eye too, and how much difference that makes in that little spot right there. Using my X-Acto knife there. Notice how I'm pulling that highlight out with my eraser, and the reason I'm doing that, notice how I'm getting that bumpy look. So it's not just one streak. I'm not cutting all the way back to pure white. That's important to note. Guys, now I have mixed up a little bit of red violet with some black, and that's going to give me a really nice dark but yet still warm tone, and that's going to deepen in the darkest parts, and then I'm going to pull out the final highlights to complete white, and that's going to create that contrast. You're going to see how much more depth the painting has and how colorful and vibrant it's going to get. All right, so there you are. You see that I'm darkening it in there, pulling those super bright white highlights out. We won't be putting any more paint over the top of them. And then check this out with the fan brush. Sometimes you need just a nice furry edge and get in there so that you don't have anything crisp, and that creates a nice feathered edge for you. Then I'm going to take and mix up a little bit of magenta, and I'm just not going to go over the flower, but you know, put in a little bit of magenta, pulled out a few more highlights for the flower on this picture, mixed up a very dark blue, and I'm going to do a little bit of shading with the dark blue. All right, guys, hope you found something that you really enjoy with the tutorial. Oh, y'all want to know about this giveaway, don't you? All right, about the giveaway. It is September 23rd. Between now and October 1st, if you share this video, come back, leave a comment below on where you shared this video. Between now and October 1st, when I get to 500 subscribers, which should happen in the next 4 weeks anyway, and that's without this boost. So when I get to 500 subscribers, I will draw anybody who shared my video, commented down below in the comments that they shared this video, where they shared it, and I'll draw a random out of them names. Whoever gets it, I will get the painting packaged up and sent out to you in the mail at my cost anywhere in the world. This is a 5x7 painting. I've shipped 5x7 paintings all over the world already. So anyway, but guys, if you appreciate the video, hey, how about hitting the subscribe and notification bell? You got to hit the notification bell, because YouTube's not going to tell you that my videos are out unless you do. And if you like the video, throw me some thumbs up. Please throw me some thumbs up. And if you don't like it, hey, downvote me. You know, that's cool too. But anyway, we appreciate y'all stopping by here. And I hope you learned a little bit today. Y'all have a great day. Bye.